I don't know where you want to pick off at, man.
Yo, let's start. We usually go from the top of the card. Let's start with the meat, man. Pause. You know what I'm saying? Let's start right. Let's get right to it. Let's get right to the shit. Um, Tank and Frank. You know what I'm saying? It's been building up for a minute. First of all, there was a lot of great boxing this weekend. You know what I'm saying? Shitload of boxing. A lot of good boxing as of late, but a lot of fights on this card. But let's talk about the PBC card. Tank and Frank. This was essentially like first of all, Tank gets a lot of flack. You know what I'm saying? With the level of competition he's faced, I've been critical. Never thought he's a bad boxer. I always know he's a superb boxer, but I've been critical on the level of competition he's faced in the past, right? So this was supposedly, quote unquote, the first non-flat-footed, I hate to say it, but slick black fighter. I was
going to say, let's just say it's his first brother he fought.
You know what I'm saying? I hate to say that shit, but that's what they was billing it as. And no, this is supposedly, Tank's toughest, fight up to the fall, because up to now you've had Leo Santa Cruz and Mario Barrios and Gamboa, and Ryan was this so-called slick fighter, whatever, but Ryan folded against him. But this was supposedly his first big test. So let's just get right into it, man. I want to play a clip in a minute, but listen, Frank started off great, man. Frank has great footwork. He's fast, like I said, he's athletic. We know Tank is, normally a slow starter, although I don't feel he necessarily started slow this fight. I feel like the pressure was on from the rip. And I felt like that pressure was constantly mounting on Frank the whole fight. You know what I'm saying? Tank had a lot of, Frank had I keep getting Frank and Tank mixed up. Frank had a lot of good moments. He turned them a lot of nice pivots, a lot of nice footwork, in and out combinations. But I felt like the whole fight, I felt like that one shot is coming. I don't know if y'all felt like that. It felt like that one shot is coming, and it's night. You know what I'm saying? And I think Frank, although he had a great fight, he did a couple of things wrong. He stayed on those ropes too much, right? I think y'all can agree with that. He started telegraphing shots. You know what I'm saying? Started, Tank. You know how Tank does. Tank downloads and starts to set traps for you. So in the end, he winds up getting knocked out. What's your opinion of the fight? I'm gonna go to you. I mean, first, to me, the story of that fight was the constant pressure, the mental pressure, and not even as much as the physical pressure, the mental pressure that Tank was putting on Frank. He was just waiting for him to make a mistake, and I think that the mental pressure had something to do with him finally making a mistake and getting knocked out. What do you think, I mean?
Whenever I watch Tank, my only question about anything he does is, when is he going to start to fight some of the names that kind of make us believe that the level of competition is there? Because in reality, I'm one of those people that always hold the Mario Barrios win in very high regard, because number one, way out of his weight class, he was in there with a legit, and Mario Barrios went on to become a world champion at 147, right?
Yeah.
So for him to be able to stop somebody being from behind, forget about what people may think about some of the antics. Yeah, he was goofing off when he rolled into the ring and shit, looking like Men on Film. But guess what? That power is something different. Now, Cash, I want to throw out the bump in a minute when I asked this, but we was having that conversation, and I was like, yo, the way it looks, Tank beats both of those guys. And both of those guys, I'm talking Dev and I'm talking Shakur. And Tank said it himself. He said, y'all know how that fight. I'm kind of inclined to believe that, man.
Yeah. Now I'm convinced. Okay. Last night convinced me. Although, and Bump, we're gonna throw you. There's a glimmer. I have a glimmer of hope for Shakur, and I'm gonna play a clip from Teddy Atlas and Paulie Malignaggi in a minute. But Bump, I want to get to your thoughts real quick.
I mean, for me, and I thought Frank was going to be the test, because Frank stopped Michel Rivera.
Yeah.
And I thought Michel with his height, size, and power was a problem at 135. There's even a problem for him to make it, which is why he moved up to 140 recently. So when Frank stopped him, I thought him and Tank, this was going to be the fight. Now, I'm like a little bit the opposite. I've always praised Tank's resume. He beat up Gamboa when Gamboa was hot. Terrence Crawford was the only one before it. He beat up the Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz was the boss at his weight division. It was only him and Abner Mares, and Leo beat Abner. So I've always been I've always thought Tank was just that, a tank. The question was, would his power translate? Would his chin translate when he went to 135? And Barrios was running Teofimo around, right? He didn't want to take the fight with Barrios. A lot of people don't know that. And Barrios was that 135. He was like, well, just come meet me up here. We can fight for this. We can get it in. And Tank banged him out. As Brother Amin pointed out, for him to do Frank the way he did him, and I look at Shakur. Shakur is a fighter who doesn't duck. There's a few of these fighters, Broner. There's a few they don't duck. And if you don't duck, you can forget about it.
You could even say that about Deb too. My bad to cut you off.
Yeah, Deb is another fighter who does not duck. Ryan Garcia, who Tank disposed of, is better than we give him credit for because he's a YouTuber. But the boy can scrap. He always has squabbles. So when I look at this going forth, it's like, Shakur, we seen you against somebody with power, and you didn't like it too much. You had the box, and I like Shakur. I thought Shakur is got the skills for me at this weight division. I don't know if he's got the power and the acumen to beat Tank. Lomachenko, you've been calling Tank out for a while. It looks like you can avoid the power, but you didn't avoid it with Teofimo. Teofimo dropped you. I know Tank will drop. Tank is the truth. Tank is the truth, and he proved it last night, hands down.